are such an asshole.
All right, Traveling Cappy. Hey, asshole. I'd like to request a video. Please keep me anonymous. First time customer, excited to see how this goes. I'd like to know your opinion on the gold standard as a viable monetary policy. What are the benefits and drawbacks, specifically if gold would be able to support a non-zero sum game economy, especially with the future of gold in doubt, i.e. geologists estimate we don't have much of it left on mind. I acknowledge there's no way for the USSA will ever go back to the gold standard. So on a more practical note, I'd also like to know your opinion on investing in gold. Get back to you. Blah, blah, blah. All right. So how can we put it? How far back in history do I want to go? When we did not have multiple trillions of dollars and billions of people on the planet, there was enough various precious metals ranging from everything from tin and copper to gold or platinum that you would be able to store enough of your wealth in higher end metals like gold and use copper and nickel and even salt at one time at the Mali Empire. You'd be able to conduct all your commerce and transactions. The problem, though, is that as technology has advanced and the population has increased, there simply is not enough tangible precious metals to go around that it would allow for a transaction within modern day. It couldn't handle all the transactions. And so that's one problem, is just not enough of the physical stuff to go around. Now, some people would argue, well, then lesser valuable things could take place. You know, obviously the gold would become more valuable, the copper would become more valuable, the silver would become more valuable. And you only use those for very, very expensive transactions. And things like aluminum, tin, iron, etc., would kind of fill in the gap. But even that doesn't account for the fact that physically trading things is incredibly inefficient. It was as recent as the 90s that the Indian stock market, not American Indian, Asian Indian, they didn't do electronic transaction and record keeping. If you bought 1 million shares of Tata Consulting, that's a real company. It's not, it is Spanish for something else, but it's a big, large company in India. You would get millions of shares that have to be physically delivered. Well, that's just not possible. And so what people in any quasi-modern economy has done is switch to financial or electronic record keeping. And so there's a couple ways that you can still have gold back up the currency and thus be on a gold standard, and then also allow for ease of transactions that would allow for, just the financial transactions alone on the stock market. You can't have physical currency trading. What's the volume? I don't know what the volume is. At least $100 billion exchanging hands every day, right? So you need electronic keeping. Now, what we had up until 71 is you had silver certificates or gold certificates where the Federal Reserve or the central bank of your country would hold on to a certain amount of gold, certain amount of silver, and then you get $1. And I think even can look at your dollars now. It says Federal Reserve note. And in the before time, you could take that to the Federal Reserve or more likely a bank and exchange it for a certain amount of gold or silver or whatever else. So in other words, yes, you're using paper money to transact, which made it easier for people to transact in ever increasing amounts of dollar denominated transactions of GDP and assets. But you weren't burdened with actually, holding the gold. The government provided essentially a public service of holding everyone's gold at an incredibly secure fortress. It was not Fort Knox, although I'm sure that Federal Reserve would probably own that. I have to look at the balance sheet. So you didn't have to worry about transacting gold or precious metals, and inconvenient as that might be. Then with the digital revolution, computers, now we can do that all electronically. Now you can still have your dollars recorded on all the computers of the banking system and credit card system in the world. You could say, all right, if you have, $100, you can go get yourself a fraction of an ounce of gold or maybe 3 silver pieces or whatever. And that would provide some intrinsic value to the currency that we're using. But we haven't done that in a long time. We've been using fiat. So you could do it, But what you're going to have is you're going to have deflation in gold, which is fine. I'm all right with the deflation. I don't know why people are so afraid of deflation. Apparently, everyone loves inflation. Economists can't make up their mind. Oh, but we get into a deflationary spiral. When did that happen? When is the last time that happened? Oh, but it's better to pay like 20% more rent now. That's good. We got inflation. Anyway, so if you had gold or silver, some kind of precious metals backing up a digital currency, and there's a cryptocurrency out there that does that. And that is essentially what we would have in the United States or any major economies. You have not a fiat currency, but your yen, your dollars, your euros backed up by an amount of gold. But as GDP increased, the value of that gold would also increase. So you would get, now you'd be making more money, so you could go get more gold, but the dollars to gold would be going up because there's only a certain amount of gold. And so then as we produce more and more stuff, that gold will become more and more valuable as determined in dollars. And you could even have a fixed exchange rate between the gold and the dollars, but you couldn't be printing off no more dollars. You couldn't arbitrarily set a fixed exchange rate. Like if you went to the Federal Reserve, oh no, you only get $35 for, $35 for an ounce of gold. That's the exchange rate. If they printed off more dollars, you'd have to let it fluctuate. So anyway, it is possible, but until you get to a digital electronic record keeping system for your currency, essentially, it's not going to work. And then you have to have a lot of, you always have to be getting more gold in there, try and keep the balance between gold and dollars the same. It'd be better than what we got now, because at least there'd be some fractional amount of gold you could get. Your dollars would be backed up by something, as opposed to now, which is nothing. Ideally, I think what would be is you could have a cryptocurrency. You could call it whatever it is, as long as it's backed up by gold. You could call it gold certificates. It doesn't really matter. But since the gold itself could not be transacted, you say this will get you gold at our central bank, or silver, or some kind of precious metal. And then that cryptocurrency, which is what you have, by the way, with every major currency. You don't physically transact yen and dollars, just so you know. People are like, oh, I'm so against crypto. I'm like, so are you against US dollars? Because that's where like 99% of the volume of transaction is. It's on the electronics. This is internet. It's all ones and zeros. It's not actual physical dollars being transacted. But if you had a cryptocurrency that was fixed, like a Bitcoin, like there's only a certain amount of it being issued, then you would neither have inflation on the cryptocurrency or gold. And the only change in the exchange rate or the ultimate intrinsic value backing up the currency would be what's the global supply of gold. And you think it's as simple as that, but it's not. It's like, well, how much is going to be used in industrial? How much is used in jewelry? Not how much is just because the precious metals are not purely used as currency. They have other applications as well. So there'd be some variability there. But that, I would say that would probably be the best of both worlds, where you get a precious metals backed cryptocurrency that cannot increase in volume. You cannot increase the money supply. You would have price stability. You would have deflation. Both your Bitcoin or whatever gold-backed cryptocurrency you have would go up in value in terms of purchasing power, as would the precious metals backing it up. And then you avoid a truly fiat currency. There is intrinsic value that would give faith in that currency. And then the one thing I kind of like about cryptocurrency, it's divisible. So everyone's like, oh, there's only going to be 21 million Bitcoin. But yeah, but can it go down to like, 5, 10 decimal points? So it is divisible enough to allow for small transactions, even large transactions. You could buy a house with 4 or 5 Bitcoin right now. And I don't know what a Satoshi goes for, but the fraction of a Bitcoin, you could go get yourself a sandwich at McDonald's. But as we traditionally had it, no, the printing paper, physically transacting. Now, I mean, do you guys like going to the bank with? I didn't lie. You're too old, too young to even remember. Like, you get paid in cash, you have to go to the bank. There'd be lines at the bank. It was very inconvenient. Now you get direct deposit. You got automatic bill pay. That saves a lot of time. That's very efficient. So we're already there at a cryptocurrency, simply backing it up with gold and saying there is no more, we print off artificial dollars. That's how you could achieve a gold standard in the modern day economy and have it be flexible enough to handle all the future growth in the future. As for an investment, gold and precious metals are not investment. Commodities are not investments. They are either insurance or they are bets, right? An investment pays you a dividend or interest or has earnings. Precious metals, they do not, like a silver coin does not poop out little silver coins. It does not pay you an interest. It doesn't generate any profits or cash flow. So if you're, quote, investing in precious metals, whether that's gold or not, what you're really doing is trying to hedge against inflation. Now, there are some people who try to bet, traders, where they're speculating that the price of gold or silver will go up or down if they short it. That's not investing either. That's speculation. That's gambling. But investing is there is a underlying profit that generates a certain rate of return to you each and every year, or it's variable, but there is a cash flow associated with it. And the capital gains is purely a secondary move. Now, I own silver. I don't own any gold because it's too valuable. I don't have that much money. But the silver, I like that because, yeah, it is a good hedge against inflation. It's done well. Like, now if I had invested in the S&P 500, I would have had more. But that's kind of my more conservative investment is silver. And it's also more divisible. I also bought some junk silver because, again, if we were to have a post-apocalyptic crash, a full silver coin would almost be too much. I save my pennies 1982 and before because those are already made into little pennies. Those are already divisible and they're copper. But not once did I think, oh, yeah, this is going to go up in value. No, it is to maintain value and insure against hyperinflation. That's what it's for. So there really is no investing in gold. Yeah, there you go. All right, glad we had that conversation. Any super chats? Do we have any super chats? We have one super chat from Tai Huando, €2. Don't Cappy. Shift paid you for this one. No, Shift did not pay me for this one. I'm not against gold. I just think it's too expensive. It's too pricey. You're not going to be able to use that. Bullets would be more valuable in a collapsed economy because they're divisible and they have practical use. You all should be getting guns and ammo anyway. All right, see you guys later. Toodles.